And we are here. Hi. Also, hey, working on hooking in modular effect and modify system is the idle clicker prototype. Taking a lesson from you and just doing one thing today. I think more than that is burning me out to do nothing the next day. Yeah, this is actually a situation that I've currently run into where I have gotten a lot of the things I wanted to do get done. Now I'm having this issue of I don't know what I'm doing next, which is what I actually plan on fixing today. I have my prototype, and I have, where is it? There it is. This, which is an obsidian thing, which I plan on messing around with. Stop that. There we go. This helps. I just do this stuff to make things very, very visual. It can kind of help me like separate data and figure out where a lot of my data is, and then figure out what I want to do with it, and how I can start expanding on things. But yeah, no, doing 1 to 2 things a day is really, really nice. Like, it's one of those things where it's like you could do a lot more. Yeah, you could sit there for a good 6 hours and you can work on a bunch of different things and you can get it all like in, and that's great. But giving yourself steps and breaks, yeah, it increases development time, sure, but it's in some ways more efficient because it allows you to really think about what you're doing on those 1 or 2 things and then spend some time thinking about it more. Because hey, we're not thinking, then are we, programmers? Yeah, let's delete this. And for now, let's start doing this. Refactor is real. Yeah, pretty much. And refactoring is something that I actually plan on doing a little bit. Terrain generation, terrain utils. I have... See, this is something that I really don't like about what I'm currently doing. I have an object spawner, which handles a lot of the spawning of like trees and items and things in the game. And then I have a world item manager, which is what I was currently using. Basically, I reworked some of the things we did in the last stream. Let's show it off here. Where is it? So yeah, moved out the get closest item code, and this is basically going to be a script that handles a lot of the literal management of items, whether it's deleting certain items, moving them around, doing something with them, getting the closest one, getting the furthest one, returning how many actually exist, sort of thing. Which the separation is nice, but I don't know if it's completely necessary, and that is why doing this in Obsidian can actually really help me a lot, because it's just like, oh, well, this is currently doing these things. So this is what's handling all of my terrain stuff at the moment. That's great. Oh, wait, that's a thing. That's the other thing that I forgot. Pathfinding grid, there we go. So that's pretty much all of my world gen stuff. And then we have the basic character. I can't spell today. I'm still recovering from a little bit of a cold, which is fun. Yeah, this is it. This is what we currently have in the game. Breaking features into their components and representing each component as a singular method. That does the trick. It does, yeah. Like that's kind of what I do with like movement component, like actual componentizing things. It just helps, especially when it comes to, hey, composing scenes and figuring out where something's going wrong. It allows you to make really just in-depth changes to one function, and then it can change a lot in the game, which is really nice. Okay, so with my old building blocks, let's see if that's correct. I also have an event bus, which is basically my glue. And then we have terrain utils, which is quite literally bubblegum. It is bubblegum and duct tape that's kind of holding the project together a little bit at the moment. So I don't know really what I want to do next. That's the only downside. Like I have this, which is like the little planning board that I usually use, where it's just like, oh, okay, well, I need to do order following, I need to do other object generation things and cell data things, and figuring out how to place mountain tiles. And oh, that's actually art that I need to do. That's a point. I should do that at some point. Making color lists selectable is also a thing that's going to need to happen. And of course, giving them a state machine to do their own like shenanigans, which is nice. But yeah, a lot of this stream is very, very literally going to be a lot less coding and a lot more just planning, because going into things with kind of a half-ass plan is a pain in the ass. That's all of the code stuff. That's Whittaker diagram things. That's pretty much the same thing. Temperature weather system and texture blending, which I am not going to get into for a long time because that's a pain in the ass. Bugs do I have? Nothing. Grand. Why did I do that? And what else do I need to rework? This. That has already been done. Has that been done? Yes, that has been done. But this is the downside. This is that fix for that little workaround or refactor or rework. That's in. Oh, it's right here. Yeah, it's still getting passed a string. The only difference is now the string that it's getting passed is actually an autoloaded event bus thing from the train utilities. It's just storing groups now instead, which I can do here. Like, logically speaking, the next actual step in my project is getting the actual object placement down a little bit better. So instead of just placing trees, what I want to be able to do, or what I'm thinking about doing, which isn't the most efficient way of doing this, and there's definitely much better ways of doing it, is instead of just having, having to pass through, hey, trees, hey, bushes, is because each cell here, each little square has a data structure basically attached to it. I want to, or I was thinking about just having the resources for the types of things that can actually be placed on these tiles. That way, in the one loop, I can just place everything that needs to get placed and not have to think too much about it. But we will see. I kind of went into the stream today with very, very little actual plan. Why is that doing that sometimes? They saw my project before. I also use tiles, albeit hexes. Yeah, like, yeah. Like, this is what I'm currently doing. A nasty popping sound sometimes, Jesus. Yeah, what I want to do is just store the things in this and just basically in a match statement or something go, okay, this is what needs to be returned based off of the type that the tile is currently set to. As a built-in tile definition system, but it's extremely limited and is more useful for reference than info than runtime data. Yeah. Oh, actually, that's a point. Since I'm showing this, I should actually show how this gets created. Right here. No. Yes. No. Right. Where is it? Here somewhere. Yeah, here. Vector 2i in a dictionary. Well, that's kind of what this is, right? So this resource, which gets attached to every single tile, is actually getting saved inside of a data dictionary right here, which is literally just the key is the location, the vector2, and the data itself is the resource that gets passed through. Not the most efficient thing, but It works. So yeah, my plan was to basically just store the extra definition stuff inside the cell data and then go into the, not that, I renamed a bunch of this stuff last night and my brain's already just stopped working with it. There we go. The terrain object spawner. And yeah, right here, because I'm passing through the actual dictionary itself, I should be able to just go through the dictionary and figure out what needs to be placed. Matrix is by far the most conducive towards easier workflow. That's yeah, I currently just like my data storage, but this is the whole thing. Like, this stream is very much just about figuring out how I want to go about this, and then I'll probably start implementing it in the next one. Because hey, this is a part of game dev that people don't get to see often, where you actually have to sit there and think things through. Like, let's do this. Let's go. Enemies versus enemy managers. Yeah, pretty much. Do this. You have a manager that stores enemies in the dictionary, but you also have the enemy data on the enemy. Yeah. That's pretty much what I was doing or going to do with this, where the manager goes through the dictionary, goes through what type it is, and then grabs all of the information from the actual object stored inside the dictionary, which would be stored inside the resource somehow. Brain. So yeah, I can spell today. And that gets past that. Cell data dict should have, like, right now it just has the type. This might be very confusing for people to look at, but this is how my brain likes to function with this stuff. Don't break it. Why isn't it working? Step 3. Yeah, pretty much. Step 3, bang head against wall until it works. I could. No, that would be overkill. See, I was thinking of going and doing like an array of like object data, which would basically just be the resource for object, and that would also get stored in the data dictionary, but I would need multiple arrays, probably, unless I did it via a dictionary. I could do, let's go dictionary, because in 4.4 dev 3, you can use type dictionaries now. Woo. Even this, let me try and implement state machine. State machine system, I'm going to be using primarily, like, I'm just going to use a really dumb little one for a lot of this stuff first, and then when I actually get into building this out properly, I'll be pivoting properly. This will need the type and tell type. Yeah, I'm definitely not saying no. I'm just saying prototype. Just mess around, figure out the rough idea of what I want to do before I try and perfect it. Then what that could be an array. That would technically work. Actually, if you want to you want to help me with this, give me downsides to using a dictionary with the type and an array full of the objects types or object data for each object. Give me the downsides. Because this is the place that my brain is immediately going to right now, where it's just like, what's the quick and simple way of doing it? Just store everything in a dictionary and then go through the dictionary, use a match statement to match the type for the actual key, and then you can just loop through the data for each dictionary, or the data for the type and wait, brain? You know what I'm talking about. That's supposed to log the tiles that you are spawning. So put this in a really easy way. This function here for spawning the world object. Actually, where's my Godot? There it is. Right. Yeah. So this gets past a dictionary, right? The dictionary is the tile position and the resource attached to the tile, which is what this cell data resource is. And then what it's currently doing is just grabbing the key and spawning trees, right? So what I want to do is probably on this resource store a dictionary, which will have a key of the tile type that it currently is. So if it's a plains type tile, as in it's a light green tile, it will be plains for the key. And then in the actual, what is cell data resource? Cell data resource is just a resource I'm creating for each tile every time I go over it. So if I go to my terrain generator here, and I scroll down, when I'm actually creating my terrain, I am appending I'm basically appending, like creating a new cell data resource for each tile, and then I'm slapping that into a dictionary with its position, and I'm passing a noise through the tile so it can just set things. These are instances of resource. Yeah. This was at the moment the quick and easy way of me going, okay, let's just slap a bunch of data on tiles and then just kind of work from it from there. Because this is supposed to not just contain the type of tile, it's supposed to contain like movement cost, and it's basically me going, tile maps have custom data resource, right? They have their own custom data that you can build into it with this. No, that's the wrong thing. I am really good at this today. Jesus. Yeah, so I can just slap on a new custom data for the tile set itself. But the issue that I ran into with that is custom typing and things like that just don't work. So I was like, I'll just create my own custom data resource and just slap it to it because it's not really that big of a deal. The game runs, let's see. I don't know. File. Yeah. Yeah, see, this is one of the things I kind of ran into a small issue, right? What my original thought process with this is, being blunt, tile maps in Godot don't work the way I would like them to, necessarily. And they can be a slight pain to work with, so I was just going to redesign the whole thing myself. Which is a bit dumb, but hey, when you code it yourself, you know how it works, right? Avoid that completely. Okay. Read the resource. Yeah, that is definitely a thing. And we'll track the node 2Ds. Hmm. Here's a question for you though. Here, let me this is a dumb little thing that bothers the hell out of me. Yeah. No, that I completely agree with, right? Where's the thing? This. This bothers me. I don't know why. Just big number, I suppose, bothers the hell out of me. Like that's just under 80,000 objects. And 68,000 of those objects are the tiles themselves. Which, I guess it makes sense. They are technically their own unique object of sorts. But, and this is where my brain went, oh, I could simplify this a lot by just using one big tile and then cutting it up and saying pixel different, like the pixels themselves differently through a shader or something. And then I can just do a grid overlay on top of that and pretty much just set up like that. That makes sense. It would knock down a lot of the objects. That way, the only time I'm actually using objects is when there actually needs to be an object and not just a tile, if that makes sense. More or less just recreate it myself and use less. But yeah, like, so you have no worries, I think that. Probably not. The only time this becomes a concern, it should be, yeah, I'm pretty sure it is. But the only time this becomes a concern, and I actually noticed this with C Sharp, is in Godot when you because everything is like a ref counted like thing. Every time I regenerate, it just clears and regenerates immediately, and there's no issue. In something like C Sharp, it does not like doing that for some unknown reason. I can get this number up to the millions quite quickly by just clicking the regenerate button. I want to say garbage collection, but yeah, that shouldn't do that. Question mark. Wait, am I just being an idiot? I might just be being an idiot. I think I am. Back to this real quick. I do like that idea though. Overlay of no 2Ds. Hmm. Let's do that. There we go. Just overlay each tile with no 2D. Also, performance becomes a problem with the chunker. Yeah, like this is the thing. I'm not going for like infinite world generation, right? Like this is kind of why I'm working with this. This is the maximum size of the map, and anyway, you see areas active. Yeah, like that's just a genuinely smart idea to do anyway, because regardless of how I start implementing things, there's going to be a lot of things going all at once, right? It's not just ooh pretty tiles. It's going to be there's a lot of different things having to do a lot of different things all at once. Like each tree is going to need to be growing, dying, and calculating if it can like spawn a new tree around it, sort of thing. To add like a living forest style thing, bushes, pretty much anything that could be potentially living needs to basically be able to do that plant wise, and that's just terrain stuff. That's not even going into having 10, 20 colonists doing 12 different jobs and doing all of their pathfinding and everything else. This is a check for no 2D. That is true. Hmm. Definitely gonna have to think about this. You should care about is one pro. That is true, yeah. Actually, a really dumb thing I was and this is just genuinely dumb because this is very unnecessary that I was thinking about doing. I created a Boyd simulation, right? Just a flocking simulation, just messing around with graphic shaders and things. And I was like, hey, wait a second, if I really want to have 100, 200 colonists all doing things, I could just let the GPU handle it. And then I was like, that seems like a lot of unnecessary work that probably won't accomplish what I'm expecting it to. Oh yeah, that was the other thing that I was like looking into with this thing here is with how this loop is currently working. This is getting passed through. Where is it? Here. This is getting passed through just a specific dictionary, right? Now, this is me being dumb, kind of. With how I've done this, and I don't know why I've done this, but I did do this for a reason, and I can't remember why. I have separated each biome into its own dictionary here. Like, I actually have a separation function going where it will just, in the match, it'll just add these current cells to a different dictionary, which technically makes this cell data dictionary kind of null and void, but having a big thing stored is quite nice sometimes. But yeah, it's just this thing where it's like, if I do it the way that I'm thinking about doing it, I don't need to worry about these individual biomes. I can just jam it all into one big dictionary and just pass it through, and it can just get handled like that. Because right now, this is just getting past the forest dictionary, and that's why it's able to spawn trees. If you look at the tile specifically, you can pass and identify on the top. That's a good point. Say this though, I do also feel like sometimes I'm working in like within the bounds of Godot, if that makes sense, or working or trying to work around Godot. It's like trying to implement the factory system that me and you were talking about, the class-based factory system. Godot struggles with that. I, for the life of me, could not get it to actually function. And I asked a few other people about it that have been using Godot for a really long time, and they all said the same thing. It's Godot is really struggle bus with like inner classes and factories. Yeah, more than likely. That's fair. Yeah, for me, oh, what was I going to say? I don't know. Today is a very chill stream of just chatting. That's pretty much what today is. Let me do this as well before my brain forgets about it. Is rough, and you were definitely doing it wrong. Did you figure it out? Ah, nah, it's fine. It's fine. It's just this is the thing, right? If I want to do, how can I say this? There's a lot of things that I can do in either a different engine or a different language specifically that I just struggle with in GDScript. I don't know why. It's not like GDScript's necessarily hard either. It's a very simple language. Hell, it's Python based. Like, it's simple. It's just weird. I don't know why. My brain just doesn't latch onto it too well. Now, if I was doing it in C# or C++ to some extent, it'd be fine, but what was I doing here? Yeah, just pseudocode things, bang. Dev time Godot was much slower. I hate those limitations, especially the animation tree in 3D. Yeah, no, I can understand that. Also, welcome back, Han. But yeah, I can understand that. I wouldn't go that far. I'm still learning myself. There are still a lot of things that I'm learning and trying to figure out. Like my big thing here, and this is the reality of how I work when it comes to programming. If Godot turns into more of a hindrance than a use, I love Godot. I bought the Godot plushie. I absolutely love Godot, and I will always use Godot for most projects, whether it's prototyping or anything else. But if it becomes more of a hindrance, I will go and just start building out my own engine. Now that's insane. That is absolutely insane, and I don't recommend anybody build their own engine because it is a just build an engine or build a game. Pick one. That's kind of the rule of thumb. But I really just like building things. Yeah, like that's kind of the thing. Is like I will just make my own engine and just kind of go from there because then I can control everything, literally down to little tiny things that you shouldn't technically be in control of, which is why general purpose engines exist. That's also just me being stubborn, you know. Or I could go rebuild it in Unity, but then again, Unity's here. That doesn't mean I stop using Godot, because I said Godot is just great. I love Godot. Godot just, it feels good in a lot of places. Actually, here's a really dumb thing that I love about this little resource system that I'm using here. So cell data resource, right? This, if they made Unity like it would be great. It would be, yeah. Yeah, if I go like through this, so this movement cost variable here in this cell data resource, this is actually really, really nice for A-star pathfinding because A-star needs a movement cost, right? It needs like a cost so it can actually calculate the correct pathing. Now, if I actually go into my pathfinding grid, it's just grabbing, it's getting that cell data dictionary for every single cell, and then it's just grabbing the key and it's grabbing movement cost for them. Now, this, with how Godot likes to ready its stuff up, comes last, which is really, really cool because it means what I can do is on my object spawner here, when I actually set this up, I can change the movement cost, which is what I'm doing, right? Every time a tree spawns, it's adding, plus equals, it's adding the movement cost of that object to the tile itself. And then the A-star grid, of course, is updating itself and readying at those tile movement costs. It just allows me to modify the movement costs first, and then I will basically just update that every time, say, a tree gets removed or a building gets placed, and just go through there. A-star pathfinding has been a lot of fun to work with. But yeah, that's one of the big reasons why I'm kind of not using custom data or custom data types on tiles and just using this instead. I just get more control with it, or at least I feel like I do. But that doesn't change the fact that like all of that's already handled, right? All of the A-star grid stuff, it's handled. The movement cost setting is handled. It's just getting the objects to be placed and having just the ability to place a bunch of random objects to do that, Now, I could go about it in the really convoluted way of going, hey, okay, let's just create files, like a folder for each object category, and then just do a like directory search, pick up all of the actual resource files for those objects, store a weighted chance on each object file, and then basically do placement based off of that. Or I could just do, like on the actual cell data itself, just apply a dictionary with each type of tile, and then apply whatever objects, like as an array, that I need to spawn on those tiles, and then just loop through the types, loop through the like object data itself inside of those arrays, and then just spawn. That's how my brain is thinking about it, though. There is also the other method of doing this. This is the simpler method, and that is because of how I'm currently running this, where in spawn world object, this is getting called once for just one dictionary, which is here. that's getting called for the forest dictionary right now. I could literally just pass through each dictionary individually in a like have a biome count sort of thing. Like, hey, how many biomes are there? There are 6 biomes. Okay, then when I'm going through and is it generating? No, it's not generating. It should be under map. Yeah, it's right here. When I actually go through and spawn these world objects, I can just do a quick for loop for this and just go, okay, like for I in range of 6, and just loop through it 6 times and then just pass through different biome data each time. And then it could just do that, but that just feels unnecessary. That just feels very unnecessary. Hey, stream just put in my YouTube recommendations. Uluk. Uluk. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly, but hi, how you doing? And welcome. Spawner is working, move on. It is working, but it's not working, like it's just spawning one thing right now. That's the downside. I need it to be spawning trees, I need it to be spawning XYZ things, and it's only being spawning trees, or it's only spawning trees because of the current base world object has that stored onto it at the moment. Or is it? No, it's up here. Like, it's just export. I need it to be doing multiple different things. After I get all of the objects spawned in, then I can actually start moving into proper task management where it's go cut down a tree. My brain is mushing up. Same. My brain's been mushing up now for the last 3 days. What I would do is, yeah, go ahead, tell me, let me know. Step 1, load tiles. Step 2, compare tiles to biome resource. Hey, really? We go. Descriptions of behind popular tiles that fall low population. See, that's a good way of doing it. Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, my approach is also different. What I think about it. See, this is something I love about game dev and programming. There's so many different ways of doing the same thing. Doing way too much. Yeah, more than likely. Yeah, that is actually the other point of doing this. this allows me to really like visualize where all of my code is actually flowing and figure out what needs to be kind of separated from its own individual thing. Spawner script, sure. Let's have a look. There you go. This is the spawner script. Third of a one script to rule them all. Yep. What have helpers? Because like this is something that I've looked at this a couple of times. And I've been thinking about how I could do this differently. As of right now, what this is actually doing is very little when it comes to just dealing with cells themselves. If I expand upon it, it will become quite large. What is cell dict? This is the cell data resource dictionary. That's this thing in my terrain generation here. That's this cell data dictionary, or specifically right now it's the biome data dictionary, which is just the cell data dictionary split up into individual biomes. So there's a part where the data is handled before the spawner kicks in. The only place that's being handled right now, there's two places, right? So on the actual generation here, which is just creating the new resource, passing the resource a noise value, and then slapping it into a dictionary. Now the noise value gets passed through into a function inside of the actual resource itself, which is just setting up the tile type based on the value that gets passed through. Once again, this is why the visual thing of this is quite useful. Basic noise king stuff, yeah, pretty much. It's also the thing that led me to sit here and look at it and go, I'm actually underutilizing the resource that I'm creating for this. Like, I created this to actually handle a lot of the basic storage stuff, right? For like just tiles, what the tiles can be, what they aren't, that stuff. And then anything else can just look at the resource and go, oh, I know what to do with that. And more things to the data generation. Kind of. Kind of, but not entirely. What I actually want to be adding is just... yeah, like, the thing that's actually changing here is... where is it? Here. That's not the right thing. Wow. I need to close out some of these scripts, and there we go. That needs to go as well. That should all stay, technically. Yeah, okay. Yeah. So yeah, I kind of separated this a little bit more last night, where I was like, okay, separate the spawner from like the actual logic of getting items and counting items and things like that. I don't know if I enjoy that, but hey, it's currently working, so I'm happy. What was I saying? I was saying something before that and I completely forgot. Yep. Which is just a dictionary of these. Yes. The current cell dictionary that is being passed through is just the dictionary of tiles that match a certain biome. The dictionary is stored as let's do this. Basically this is how the dictionary is like key value. Key is its location, value is the data resource itself. Yeah. So that's quite literally what I'm currently doing. The generate terrain is creating the grid, then the subdata resources themselves are actually painting the grid, and then this is populating things on top of that grid where they are supposed to go, sort of thing. It's not necessarily issues, it's just I don't really know how I want to go about it yet. Like, there's a lot of different ways to do the thing that I want to accomplish. Part of it's what's going to be fun, and part of it's what's going to be fast. I am now, what, 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks into prototype, and that's starting to get to that point where it's just like, okay, I'm spending a bit too long on a prototype. Dictionary irrigation is slow. It is slow. But this is a really good thing, though. This is, like, speed in this instance doesn't necessarily matter because this is only going to be generating once. This will only ever generate once, and it's just basic world generation stuff, right? It's going to place everything that it needs to, and then it will never get never get used again. After that, what's going to end up happening is just use of this function here, where this specific function will just spawn an item where it needs to spawn an item, and it won't when it doesn't need to, which this needs to get removed technically from this script itself. Other than that, other things will be more or less in charge of handling other spawning stuff. This is just me separating terrain generation into different scripts so I can dive into it a bit more. We will get to work in, I'd say about 2 minutes, because I do need to be back in a second. You type out what you need to type out. I will read it when I get back. All right, we are back. Let's see. Instead of having a value of the cell be value, make it a I like the concept of that. Like as a concept, I like that. That does seem interesting. So, question though, like with what you're saying about using a ref counted object instead, doesn't resource just inherit ref counted as well? Yeah. Ah. Crash once all references are released. Yeah. Overhead of the resource. That's true. Logically speaking, then, wouldn't that just be me just changing resource to ref counted and then just not thinking about it? Yeah. See, yeah. Because if I'm doing it that way, then what I'm currently doing is kind of similar to what you're saying, where I'm just passing through the location and a ref counted object for what needs to go inside that tile. Actually, let me do something dumb. Let's just see if me doing this will just break everything. Shouldn't do. Yep. That is because of. We'll ignore that for now. That doesn't need to be a thing. Oh, same thing. Yeah. Ooh, that's interesting. That gives me a few ideas. See, this is actually one optimization concern. Go ahead. What you type out actually, what I will say is what I used to do for this instead of a dictionary. Like I'm only using a dictionary because it just looks easier to read. What I used to do was just store the location inside of the actual resource itself, or in this case, inside of the cell data itself, and then just use an array over a dictionary because it was just a little bit easier. Then I could just loop through the array. But in this case, it was like, well, if I just want to find a specific tile, looping through every single time seems more like a pain. This is the whole way. Shoot. Dictionary is fine. After this, it will be lookups. Yeah, that's fair. Inside that, we want to add child and add group stuff. So that's more or less what this function is doing. should add things besides trees. Yeah. See, this is kind of what I ended up doing, right? Where I like just created two separate functions for just figuring things out. Because this, I can now just pass in any resource at any location, and it will just spawn things. You want a different function for each item. I don't. This is literally just, yeah, this one function will be able to use every resource and every item. This was me testing and messing around and just being like, figuring it out. This is actually how I'm currently spawning in, these. I'm currently spawning in the current berry bushes. They're taking a position and the resource, and they just do the thing. Kind of, yeah. Like, realistically speaking, I could... Lord. Very dry, though, yeah. Like, there's a lot of issues with me and this stuff. Like, my brain very much just goes, hey, just get it to work, figure out the optimization basically later, and figure out a better way of doing it later. But this is now later. That's kind of becoming my problem, is later is catching up very quickly. Or I'm coming to later very quickly. And I definitely want to get a lot of this stuff sorted before I even think about messing with a task management system. Because if I actually go deep into a task management system, it's going to need to interact with a lot of these things. Specifically the just grabbing of items, which can be done through, groups and things, which is fine, but what if I want to spawn new items at certain locations? Or what if I need to regenerate the map? Or, what if I want biome shifts or something like that, where every now and then the biomes will shift and turn into something different? That's not things I'm planning for. I just want to throw that out there. That's just me saying, what if? Program a pitfall, what if? Thank you, my love. This is the thing, I just feel like I'm not utilizing this as much as I could be. I really don't like the spacing here. Like, I could probably be doing more with this to make my life easier. What would that even look like, though? That's the question. Where is... Oh, I need to do 2 cards for this, don't I? Yep. Let me change that to make that more clear. Yay for visual aid. This is pretty much what my cell data is doing right now. this is it. Like, realistically speaking, it could be doing a lot more, which is kind of where I was going with this. But the downside of me doing this is it would mean for each individual biome adding different dictionaries for each biome, and that just seems like too much hassle. It's just that thing where it's like, in the long run, is that actually too much hassle, or is that, you know, is that Band-Aid, or is that just bubblegum, you know? I think that this is the thing, though. Like, why is like the best question in this instance, because that might genuinely just be me sitting there going, I think it's worse than it actually is, if that makes sense. Like, because yeah, if I just there like a copy for this? There is not. Rude. I need to new dig for each biome. So no, never mind. That's also wrong. Oh god, programming when your brain isn't functioning too well is the best thing ever. It is genuinely kind of fun. That's what it would need. Yes, Zach, I do need to wake up. It doesn't need a dictionary for each biome, it just needs a dictionary which contains each biome and an object array for each biome. That's it. That's literally all it would need. And then I can have a function which would access this based off of the key, so the biome type that gets passed through the dictionary, and then I can just pull the objects out and just be like, okay, these are the objects that need to be spawned wherever. Why would they need that info? Well, that's the question, right? It's why would it need that info? Technically speaking, cell data is right now a container of all information for that specific tile. I think there is a better way of doing it where I separate it out and not have that contained in cell data. Cell data should only technically need to keep track of its movement cost, its type, and maybe what's currently sitting on top of it. But that's pushing it. I do, yeah. I have, technically speaking, I do. It's just the pathfinding grid itself, which is what mostly handles a lot of the setup for it, which is this. Hmm. That's also back to 2R. Story of my own dictionary. So from see, that I agree with, but with how GD script is a thing, that means that the things that would need to access this, which would be a lot of things, would need a reference to the pathfinding grid. Because all this is doing is like just setting up the grid, that's it. And that to me is where things get a bit choppy. Story biome dictionary is a static constant. Hey, you are working with somebody that is very half-brained today, okay? For me, hey, if you coded something and sent it to me, I'd look through it and see how I could rebuild it. That's how stubborn I am. Nah, realistically speaking, if you actually built something, I'd look through it. Like, it's one of those things where, as I said, I'm still in my learning phase. I still want to keep learning and improving and seeing the different ways of doing different things. Because there are still gaps in my knowledge, you know? And that's okay. That's actually a pretty good thing to be aware of. Actually, I would actually love to see. So where is your biome list? This is the thing. There isn't actually a biome list just yet. This is it. There is no list of current biomes. There is just the types of current tiles. Where is your biome? There isn't any. There's just the tile types, and that's it. And that might be where I'm going wrong. I feel like I'm going to give you an aneurysm. But yeah, that's on cell data at the moment. Resource will work great. But that's the thing, that's what this was originally. This is a resource. Two resources, one is a biome atlas, the other is biome. Like to extend resource, yeah. I'm enjoying this too much. Let's see. Let's put this in 2-year-old brain for myself. Biome. Please learn to spell biome correctly. There we go. Right. But extend resource, then each of the definitions can be a biome. Ooh. That would work. That would work. Do you know that moment of realization when you remember that static exists? Yeah. That is actually a really good idea. I think one of the things I've managed to do to myself is break myself a little bit with how GDScript handles things. Because I am somebody that is like, does not want to clog up globals often. Like, this is already pushing it a bit. Because auto-loaded functionality is interesting. But currently, duct tape bubblegum, you know? But yeah, just creating a class would just work. I'm currently weighing pros and cons. Art, give me some pros and cons. Because I like from my understanding right now, what I'm thinking about doing is more or less getting a glue gun and just slathering the entire project in glue. What you're talking about doing is something that works. No concepts field tested. Yeah, it's Hmm. I think me and you need to do a game jam together sometime. I feel like by the end of it, you'll want to kill me, and that'd just be fun. Yeah. No, what you're saying makes a lot of sense. Is probably what I should do. Yeah, it's Hey, you're not supposed to agree, Zach. That's rude. That's rude. It's not rude. It's very, very true, though. So here's what I'm gonna do. This is a democracy. Is it? Is it though? So what I'm gonna do real quick is do, because hey, this is how my brain is like stores things quite well. Oh. And that should just give me a good reminder of what you're currently saying. Or when I actually go back and look at this. Freedom never sleeps. Oh no. It's not time for Helldivers, Zach. It's not time for that yet. Oh yeah, I will be doing longer streams soon. I would like to go for like 3 hours probably. Code Like Your Freedom depends on it. It does. It does. It always does. Yeah, I'd like to do like 3 hours of streams or a little bit longer in the future, because getting some stuff done is nice, but being able to actually work on something and not lose focus is also quite nice. And doing that for longer would just be productive. And it makes up for streams like this where it's just very chill, just chatting. Oh, I need to work on the tower defense stuff. I forgot about that. Yeah, that's a good point. I should do that tomorrow, probably. A bunch of videos to render. Woo. What's that YouTube I found? You have found the trying to create a game side of YouTube, and currently turning into some memes. So this is a game that I'm working on. So hi, how you doing? Hope you're having a good day. Yeah, that's the side of YouTube you found. The if you like programming, you might enjoy this, or in Art's case, you might have a small aneurysm. Yes, today is very much just talking about code, talking about figuring things out, and trying not to blow things up. Yeah, that is still one of the best things that YouTube manages to do. So you just start listening to something, and then 3 hours later, you're in a rabbit hole. I love that. You find some really weird things. Please turn up my microphone. If I turn it up anymore, it won't end well. I'm already nearly peaking in OBS. Mannerisms counting one another. That's fair. That's fair. Yes, art. I think what's going to happen is I'll have to steal you into a Discord call at some point, and you can just attack me with programming knowledge. That just sounds fun. Get back to coding. I'm trying. Right now, I'm trying to figure out how I want to do this effectively. Let's do... just make 2 classes. Yeah. Just make that nice and red. There we go. Right now, I'm mostly just doing a lot of like pre-planning, like biomalice and bio. Yeah, like I'm doing a lot of pre-planning. I don't really plan on doing much coding today. I'm... Excuse me? Why are you... Don't you throw an error at me? Oh, that's why. That's ignorable. We can ignore that. That doesn't happen. That reminds me, I still need to get mountains actually getting placed properly, not just background tiles. He's stuck. I am not stuck. I know exactly what I'm very. Working on my color. Oh wow. Working on my golem. Yeah. Yeah. That is kind of what this feels like sometimes. That is kind of what this feels like sometimes. So here's another question for you, Art. The next thing I'm going to be working on after this is some AI state machine things. Now, I have a state machine that functions, but it's annoying. So that's pretty much what's going to come next. That's the next fun thing, because that's where all of the task management is going to be handled. And yes, if you've ever, like, if any of you have ever like never seen a really unorganized programmer trying to create a game, welcome to the stream. That's what this is. Whoa. Okay then. YouTube hasn't pushed me anything weird like that yet. I'm kind of jealous. It just hasn't yet. I'm kind of jealous. This really bothers me, but that's an A-star thing. Yes, if you actually want to see me do some proper coding, that's going to be a tomorrow thing, very much. I'm still a bit under the weather today. And coding while not thinking 100% is really dumb. What time is it now anyway? That's a good point. I can feel Art already planning out his day. Gotcha. Your understanding of the factory pattern and resources, sure. Oh yeah, obligatory YouTube thing. Do the whole like and subscribe thing if you enjoy it. If you think I'm not working hard enough, there is a dislike button. That's something you can use. Audio logo. Speaking of documentation, I should actually start commenting my code a little bit. That's probably a thing that I should start doing soon. That is something I completely forgot about. This is the thing, I am so used to working on projects just in dead silence without streaming. Just like, I gotta remember to do that. You should do that ASAP, yeah. This is the thing, you know, I always forget about it. Work solo for so long and not stream, does it? Why is this actually commented? That's a good question. What? Who's been touching my code? I do actually think this is probably going to be all for today because I can slowly feel myself losing my mind in just cold symptoms. Woo. But I'll be streaming again tomorrow. We'll be back to normal scheduled stuff tomorrow of full 2 hours and maybe a little bit more. And I will actually be working on things and not just planning. Fair. And I appreciate it. I will very, very much try to feel better soon. Thank you. Yeah, I hope everybody's had a good day. I hope everybody's, you know, having a good week in general and good near end of year. We're nearly at the end of the year. God, that's nuts. But yeah, next time, please come back. Chat with me. It's really nice to just kind of chat and code. Instead of to include AI behavior, that would be interesting. I'm really, really definitely gonna need to steal you for like a good few hours and just figure it out. That'd be fun. Some brainstorming. Yes, for now, thank you for watching. Have a great day. Anybody who's doing Raptor X, oh no, I'm so sorry. Same time tomorrow, I'll be streaming for longer, so yeah. Feel better. Appreciate it. Yes, everybody, enjoy yourselves.